right, welcome and welcome back to A Life in Delusion. I'm Q. Here on this channel, we're talking about self-development, leveling up, creating and curating your dream life. So stay tuned. We have a very interesting topic today. Go ahead and subscribe and like this video and stay tuned for more. I post videos every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. So definitely hit those notifications so you know when we drop the new video. Today's topic is love yourself or no one else will. I know this is kind of a quote that floats around the internet pretty regularly, that if you don't love yourself, how can somebody else love you, or something to that effect. I wanted to pop in and kind of give my thoughts on that statement and that thought process, because I don't necessarily agree with that 100%. So I'm gonna have like kind of 4 main points I'm gonna go over today in my rationale on how this statement is true and how it's not true. So first, love yourself and no one else will. I think it's not true, because you can be loved by other people when you don't love yourself, but a few problems come in. The first one is you won't recognize love if you don't love yourself first. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we didn't receive a healthy type of love growing up, so we aren't familiar with it. And therefore, we won't recognize when someone is trying to love us in a healthy way, or someone is loving us despite our flaws, or loving us from a really altruistic and pure point of view. They're really trying to come in our lives to do right by us. And a lot of times, if we're not familiar with it, we won't recognize what that love is. Positive love, especially in like the dating climate now, is considered corny or lame or thirsty to show somebody interest. Showing interest is a type of love. It's showing that I would love to get to know you. That's what it that's what it essentially is. But because we, all want to maintain this level of being cool or being unbothered or being, no emotions and things like that, we have been now conditioned to see that as lame, and that's not desirable. We seek out people that are emotionally unavailable and that aren't interested in showing interest and showing consistency, because we feel like we need to chase that. And again, a lot of this goes back to childhood, circumstances where we've had parents that were emotionally unavailable, particularly, unfortunately, our fathers, but the mothers a lot of times too, that we feel like we had to prove we were worth something to them, or prove that we were good, we had good grades, or we were well behaved, or we were, poorly behaved and misbehaving to get some attention, because that, that was better than the nothing, from the nothing we got from just being regular, or being normal, or just being a regular kid. So I think that can come into it. You won't recognize healthy and positive love if you don't have a certain amount of self-love. The second note is you won't know how to accept it. If you don't love yourself, you won't know how to accept love from other people. So if you're not used to receiving anything, honestly, it could be gifts, it could be kind words, it could be, anything positive coming in. You don't know how to receive that, because all you've ever gotten, or all you've ever known to accept, was negativity and bad behavior and mistreatment and harsh words. So when somebody comes in with something positive, you're like, what is this? This feels weird. Why are you being nice to me? What do you want? You come in with that suspicion and that doubt, because you're not used to that. You have to learn how to normalize people treating you well and expect that and make that the standard. Another thing, even, talking about tough love and receiving constructive criticism, receiving constructive criticism, people get really defensive when, say, I'm trying to come up with an example, but let's say, for example, you were rude to, I don't know, the bag boy at the grocery store, and whoever you're dating was like, hey, you were a little rude to the guy in there or whatever, and you like, well, he was bagging my stuff wrong and this and that, and you automatically get defensive, instead of saying, taking a second to say, maybe I was rude in this. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I'm going to try to do better, because they're coming to you because they want you to have better experiences and better interactions, and to treat everybody better, because that in turn is going to relay more positive energy back to you. They're not doing that to criticize you or to put you down, or to, shame you or whatever, but that's where your mind will tend to go when all the criticism you've gotten was negative, when you've been criticized for, I don't know, you're so dumb, you can't even make a good grade in whatever, in gym class, or you're ugly, or you're stupid, or you don't know how to dress, whatever your criticisms were, whatever it is, kind of instinctual and sticking with you that you were criticized on. You tend to go and think that anybody saying anything, having any type of critique, is coming from a place of malice and not from benevolence, So I think that's the main second point, is you don't know how to accept positive love. You automatically default to it being negative, or being a criticism, or being, something, a personal attack, when it's not that. The third thing I think comes into play when you don't love yourself is you won't have boundaries for yourself and for the people in your life who have some kind of stature or stance in your life, like your relatives, your friends, your mates. You won't have a standard and boundaries for how people can treat you, how people can talk to you, how people can address you, how people can, treat your time. You won't have clear lines of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable behavior. You'll just accept, because now you have this title, especially new people coming into your life. Okay, you have this title now. You're my friend now. You're my boss now. You're my whatever coworker now. I'm gonna accept whatever it is you have to dish out, because I have now put you up on this pedestal, and I'm down here just waiting for you to offer me some acceptance and some rewards and toss me down some treats. So you won't be able to distinguish and stand on. Sometimes, in the early stage, you can say, well, dang, that's not okay for him to talk to me like that, but what do you do about it other than, be mad and internalize it? You have to say, okay, it's not acceptable for him to talk to me like that. Here are the steps I'm taking to address that. Here are the boundaries, or I'm going to remove myself, whatever your process is. If you don't have that boundary within yourself to say, okay, I don't speak to myself or about myself that way. I don't speak harshly to myself. So why am I accepting this harsh speak from my mom? Why am I accepting last minute cancellations from my friends or this guy I'm dating? I feel like you have to establish that with yourself first, before you can have those lines of, boundaries with other people and other relationships and other circumstances. I feel like loving yourself first can set you up. There's kind of a few components. I think mentally and physically are kind of the main two areas you can work on first. How do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? Everybody, I know me at least, I have a few inner voices. I have a few inner voices that I lean on for guidance and just kind of work through things. So just mirror work is something people lean on. Just how do you, when you get up in the morning or throughout the day, when you're washing your hands and you come across a mirror, what do you think? What do you see? What do you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? And if it's not, positive right now, you can change that immediately. Just start honestly, if you just start saying nice things to yourself, you're so smart, you did a great job on that presentation, you're beautiful, look at those eyebrows, just find some positive things to say about it can be about your physical presence, or it can be about something you've done or something you've been working hard at, or you've been in the gym, look at the definition, the clavicle, find something positive to say about yourself. And this is, a process that takes some time. It's going to take different amounts of time for different people, but start, today. Today is day one. Next is how you treat your body. Are you disrespectful to your body? Are you treating it well? Are you treating it with care and love and kindness? Or are you criticizing it constantly? And are you feeding it poison across the board? It can be, bad food. It can also be bad media you're consuming, or anything negative that you're bringing into your being through your senses and through your physical processes. Is that acceptable? Is that you showing yourself love? You have to consider that as well. So yeah, I think those are the main points of whether or not you can be loved. I think you can, overall, I think you can be loved if you don't love yourself, but odds are you're not going to be able to maintain it you're not going to be able to maintain it long term if you don't have some sense of self-love and development of that self-love. You won't be able to recognize it. You won't be able to recognize it. You won't be able to accept it, and you won't have the boundaries in place to know what is acceptable and what's not. So that's my word. That's my that's my bit on that. Self-love. I think you can be loved, but it won't last if you don't love yourself.